Up, Everyday Athlete Podcast listeners? Welcome to the Fireside Chat. I am excited to have my guest, Mireille Siné, join us for this conversation. I met Mireille a few years ago, and we had done a How It All Started feature on our website about her and dealing with a lupus diagnosis as she was pursuing at the time, the Mountains to Beach half marathon. It's been some time since we've talked, so I'm excited to chat with her. She's a marathon runner. She's a trail runner. She's a coach with a great program called Start Line Lab that I'm going to ask her to dive into in depth and really bring that home because I think it's just a fantastic idea. Before I bring her on, though, please do me a favor. Subscribe, rate, and review to the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network on your favorite podcast platform. I'm asking you for 5 stars. And if you're inclined to give me less than that, please email me first, jason@runtrimag.com. I'd love to know what we can do better to make these shows and the network as a whole more enjoyable for you. And lastly, the Everyday Athlete Clubhouse is up and running. We are getting membership signups on a daily basis. Welcome boxes have gone out. We are super excited with the marketing partners that we have in there, from H2O Audio to Blue 70 to SBR Sports, Path Projects, and Montaigne, and many more to come. We have exclusive discounts, exclusive content. We have it all inside the Everyday Athlete Clubhouse. So join us, runtrimag.com. Scroll over to the shop, hover. The tab will drop down. You can sign up there. Super cost-effective, $15 for a year, $25 for a lifetime. And the discounts that we have ready for you will cover that cost in a heartbeat. So without me rambling on any longer, let's bring Mireille onto the show and let's have some fun. Hi, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great. It's always weird for me when I say, hey, how are you doing after I've talked to you for 15 minutes and I kind of know exactly how you're doing.
Yeah. Now everybody else knows how I'm doing too.
Exactly. I have that's a great point. I'll have to remember that from now on. It's not for me. It's for the audience. I have an icebreaker for you. We are starting to lean into fall, although we can't really tell here in LA that it's gotten
Not
there.
yet. Yeah.
But apple cider or pumpkin spice?
I like a hot apple cider.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's refreshing to me. Sometimes pumpkin spice can feel like a lot.
Yeah.
Too much flavor in one. But a nice hot apple cider on a cold evening. Yeah, that's the way to go.
I'm going to take it one step further. Apple cider donuts or pumpkin pie?
Oh. Have I had an apple cider donut? Even if I haven't, I would still pick apple cider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will.
Pumpkin, again, it's just like the density of everything that gets to me.
I'll have to send you a picture of me eating a dozen apple cider donuts when we lived in Seattle. We went to this apple farm, and it's not even close. By far the best apple cider donuts I've ever had. I think I ate 5 at that farm, and then I put the other 7 in the freezer and ate 1 a day for the next 7 days. It was so good.
A different kind of meal prep.
Exactly. So speaking of laughter and fun, I have been having so much fun with your account on Instagram for the last few days, give or take. You have been playing some banging music and dancing. And I want to know, like, where did this come from? Because I hadn't seen it before, and I am in love with it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, one background information to know is that I actually used to dance.
Okay.
Quite a lot. I feel like if I wasn't running, I might be dancing or definitely doing some other sport. So there's like there's a piece of me that kind of lingers inside from the dancing aspect. And I just started making some posts with like these funny dances and music just to kind of bring some levity to the platform. I think it's always interesting when you're an individual as a runner, but you're also a business owner whose objective is also to promote your business. And it can kind of feel stale if every post is about like running and work with me and all this other stuff. So I really like to break things out with just like a meme, a joke, or a dance over a trending song or something like that. Just to be like, hey, I'm actually still a human being behind all of this stuff. And I also don't take myself that seriously. So just to remind everybody else that like, yeah, it's at the end of the day, one, it's just running and we can have fun with it and we can, poke fun at it too and just like dance it out sometimes.
I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that, because I found for myself, it's not for everybody, that when I first got it into running and triathlon specifically, like every number meant something. How many
Mhm.
miles I ran, how much time I ran, how fast I ran, swimming, cycling, the same thing. And I got burned out. And
Mhm.
I found the sports to not be fun because I was burned out by it all. And recently, and probably in the last 5 years since I started this company, it's like we have to have fun with this stuff, because all of this, and I'm waving my hands at the world, is
Yeah.
stressful enough. Like, let's not make sport more stressful. So I appreciate you doing what you do, because I think it makes everything a little bit more fun for us. And I would guess, correct me if I'm wrong, that the athletes that you coach appreciate you bringing some laughter and some smiles to their training plans and the hard work that they're putting in as well.
Yeah, when I'm commenting on someone's schedule, if I can make it relate to someone that I know, something that I know they like, I will try and also do that. Like I did this recently for an athlete who I know is a big Taylor Swift fan. So one of my comments to her was like, sometimes you just have to shake it off, and I like
Yes.
put a smiley face next to it, knowing that she would get where I'm coming from, because it's just such a part of her.
Do you find that personalization not only helps the athlete, but it also helps you, because now you feel potentially a little bit more connected to that person because you know more about them beyond how many miles they ran or for how long how many hours they ran that week?
Yeah, something that I really try to get across to them when we first start working out is that while on one hand I'm looking at the data, it's always present. We all know how to read it, but I really try to emphasize, like, tell me how you feel after each run, because the data will tell me one thing, but how you actually feel and relate it to the run will tell me something else. So we're always kind of like combining those two. And the more I talk to them, the more we go back and forth, whether it's in the comment section or our one-on-one check-ins, the bigger or the better we can grow sort of like that personal side of coaching, that makes it easier to then like get into the plan and get into the structure.
So let's get into the elephant in the room when it comes to coaching, because you're talking about personalization,
Mhm,
but we know that AI is ever present and prevalent,
mhm,
and becoming more prevalent in the coaching business.
mhm.
What's your thought? What's your take on the leverage or the use of AI, um, by coaches like yourself, or an athlete who is using a 100% generated AI plan?
Yeah, I think I've been fairly vocal about how the one thing AI will never be able to do is give that human touch, give that
Right.
human aspect of it. Um, and I work with athletes who happen to believe the same thing because they've seen the value of like what it is to work one on one with a person. So as someone who coaches, it's like I wouldn't use that to be writing my training plans and things like that. If I need help on the business side of things, sure. If I need, some information about how to make a Zapier thing or ideas to update my website, like that is something that I would go to an AI assistant to do. And when it comes to athletes who are using that to make their training plans, or they're using like an AI forward app, always say proceed with caution.
Yeah.
The algorithm, all the ones and zeros, like you as a human are not just ones and zeros. That's very important to remember, but that's all that they see on the other side.
Yeah.
All they see is the numbers that you're doing, the paces that you're hitting, and they're just making guesses really based on all of that, and all the data that they've accumulated. But they're not going to know that, oh, you got sick last week, or you have to travel to work this weekend, or your kid's not sleeping, like all these other like real life circumstances that you have to be able to pivot in real time in order to get the most out of your training plan.
Yeah, like one of the things that, and I don't know if you're a Strava user or not, but I'm a Strava user, and
Mhm.
it has those AI generated comments, and I mean, honestly, unless they're trying to entice you to pay more for something else, they're useless, right?
Mhm.
Hey, it's like, hey, great job on your tempo run. You spent more time in zone 4 than you normally do. Well, no
Mhm.
kidding. It says it right there on the little
It's a
graph.
tempo. Yeah.
So as a coach myself and an athlete who's been coached, there is something about that one-on-one conversation that you mentioned that you'll never get from a computer. It just will
Mhm.
never happen. And I'll give you an example. when I first got into triathlon, I was coached by Maria Simone of No Limits Endurance Coaching. And we had a one-on-one, and she said to me, Jason, stress is stress. Your body doesn't know that the physical stress of running 5 miles or the mental anguish and stress that you're going through because of your job or relationship. It just knows it's stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
And that has stuck with me for so long. And there is 0% chance that AI is telling me that, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
It's always going to be, you can do more. You got
right.
this. You got this.
Yeah. And it's, it's not getting into, hey, are you sleeping well? Are you eating well? Like, it has no idea about any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, like the idea of you leveraging AI only for coaching, it strikes me as odd, because I also think that these sports are personal in the sense, like we don't run a marathon by ourselves. We don't run 100-miler by ourselves. We're with a community when we go out there of other athletes and stuff like that. So why not connect with other people in the space, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This leads me to, this was all a setup to the Start Line Lab. Because I think when I saw you posted on Instagram a few days ago, I commented to you. I was like, this is a genius idea.
Mm.
And I've likened it to the idea of when you go to Baskin Robbins or Van Leeuwen's and they ask you, would you like a taste of this ice cream or that ice cream? And you take, 17 little tiny scoops before you order the ice cream that you get.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what you have developed here, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. It's a way for folks to kind of test drive what one-on-one coaching could be like. It's definitely in a group format, but they're still receiving sort of like one-on-one like attention through our weekly coaching calls, through access to me via text, emails. They're still getting sort of their own training plans on Training Peaks, which is the platform that I use. And I wanted to make sort of like this entry level option because when I, kind of put on my business hat, I'm looking at the industry, trying to figure out like where it's going and also like where it's at. And some of the pain points we see is definitely price for coaching, which is a hard conversation to have, because as a coach who knows who's good at what they do, has the certification, has the education, yes, there's incentive to charge for that, for your time. And I think that that's all well and good. But that can be a barrier for some folks, people who are newer to running and they're just getting into the sport, not really knowing the benefits of a coach too, and wanting to give them a place to sort of like just give it a test drive, like see what it's like for you, see what it could be like for you. Maybe we go on to work one-on-one, or maybe you go out and look for a different coach, but at least you sort of have an idea about how it can benefit you without giving too much upfront cost.
Yeah, and I love that idea, because I think we often say, running is cheap, and the reality is it's not, right? Your running shoes cost $150, shorts, shirts, all of these things add up. And so if I have the opportunity to be coached by somebody with the experience that you have, I also think in the group setting that also helps, because now I'm meeting other people who are probably in and around my same ability, and we can feed off of each other and work in sort of in a community setting, because running is a lonely sport. Like we can go and run with groups and that happens, but the majority of the time you're running by yourself.
Yeah.
And it can be a lonely sport. So in your setting with a group scenario, like I have to imagine that benefits people beyond just the physical component that you're providing them in terms of, here's your schedule plan for the week or for the month or whatever it might be.
Yeah. A chance to sort of like build on the community aspect of running, even if it's virtual. Like if this first lab sort of fills out, it would make sense if we have people across the US, right? So maybe you get that person who's been looking for those local run clubs or the runners close to them, but hasn't been able to find it. And this could be their first introduction to meeting a variety of runners as well. And as you said, maybe they're on the same level. Maybe someone is going for their first marathon or their half, but they'll each have something in common and we can all learn from each other. They can all learn from each other, and not just me too.
100%. One of the things that, as you're answering that question, I started thinking about was, who is it that you want to work with? Like, what's the athlete that if they knocked on your door, you would open it up and be like, come on in, let's hang out? Like, what's that athlete? Is it the true beginner? Is it the person who's looking to PR at the marathon distance? Like, who is that athlete?
I'm looking to work with the athlete who's number one, curious enough to inquire. Like they've gotten to that point where they may have worked with the free plans, maybe they've worked with the AI app and something just isn't clicking. Like and they're frustrated about not being able to find out what isn't, right? Maybe they've just ingested too much running content information that they don't know what to make of it. That happens quite a bit. And I really wanted to position myself as a person who wants to explore your curiosity, but also give you sort of like concrete, science-backed, actionable, and sustainable steps in order to get you from where you are to actually where you want to go.
That's awesome, because I think that's imperative for people to know who the coach is and their coaching philosophy and where they stand with the thinking, because I'm sure it has happened where an athlete signs up with a coach, and the next thing you know, they're doing some interval workout that they're like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm barely running 2, 3, 4, 5 miles. Why am I doing speed work at zone 5? Right?
Yeah.
I don't even know what zone 5 is. Better yet.
Yeah. You shouldn't be there too long. That's for sure.
Your body will tell you, get out.
Yeah.
Let's back up for a bit. Let's give the audience a little bit of your background. So you have an autoimmune disease, which is lupus.
Mm-hmm.
And tell us about, because in our interview, it was 2015 is when you started to come back around to running,
Mm-hmm.
but you mentioned being an active kid earlier. So if you can give us some background there, and then we can continue to fill in the gaps along the way.
For sure. Yes. So growing up, I was always an active kid, basketball, dance, running for me. I didn't view it as a sport, even though I loved watching, the Olympics and things like that growing up. But it was always like on the track side. So I thought of like, oh, speed is the thing. Marathon wasn't in my lexicon at all. I only really started running when I got to high school. And I think this may have been either 10th or 11th grade, where they either have you go into a sport or continue with regular PE. Majority of my friends went to track. So I said, I'm going to go with my friends, not knowing at all what track and field would entitle. Fun fact, my high school was only one building, 5 floors, and a courtyard. So we didn't have a track to practice at. We had to run to the next high school to practice. And that was my introduction to distance running. It was about
remember how far?
I think it was about 1.5 miles.
Okay.
I think. Definitely felt longer in my head back then.
So you got a 5K in 1.5 miles there and 1.5 miles back, plus whatever the track workout was in between.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So I was very lukewarm, but I loved hurdles and I loved going fast. Just the distance part is what threw me off. But when I got to college, I didn't do any like professional or collegiate sports program. I kept running just for fitness and my health on my own. And being an exercise science major, I really got to like kind of dive into the physiology and everything, biomechanics behind running, which kind of like made me start to love it. And the fact that we had some classes where, we would do exercise tests on ourselves. And I thought, oh, this is really cool. We're like testing our VO2 max and our 5K time. And so it wasn't until college that I was like, oh, I could actually kind of do this like on my own and make it fun and maybe make it competitive. And so I got into a good streak with running until a few years into college, when I started to not feel well. Didn't have a name for what was going on. I just knew that things were really throwing my body off. I had trouble kind of regulating my temperature, a lot of joint pain, sleeping, walking, just sort of it. In hindsight, it felt like it happened overnight, but in reality, it was like about 1.5 years of just sort of like things slowly going online, offline, trying to figure things out. Lo and behold, I ended up getting diagnosed with lupus. And it wasn't until I actually had that diagnosis that I knew what lupus was. Like, during this time, you're doing all the Google searches, trying to put in your symptoms and figure out like, oh, what could this be? So when the rheumatologist said lupus, I was like, that tracks. And then I went into a deep dive about lupus. And so at that point, I wasn't working out. I was too sick, actually fairly weak as well. So I had to go through, I think, about another 1.5 years of treatment before getting the all clear to go back to working out.
Can I ask you a question about the diagnosis and the mental frame that you end up in? Because if you're an active person, you're running, you play basketball, you danced, all of these things, and you're feeling weaker and weaker and weaker, and then the diagnosis comes in. How does that impact you mentally?
It made me very worried for my future, I would say. When I was in the hospital and where they're sort of like talking through plans and medications and things like that, I'm kind of lying there thinking like, oh, does being a physical therapist still make sense for me if my hands hurt? Like
Right.
I can't use them. Um, it would take me much longer just to walk to campus or to my next class. I'm thinking like, what does life look like for me if this ends up being more permanent? Like, because I think at that point you can't really see what the other side looks like.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never been this sick, if you've never seen someone experience something, if you've never heard of autoimmune conditions at that point, which I certainly hadn't, it's kind of like a very weird limbo sort of feeling where on one side of you, you're happy to have a diagnosis and you're hoping that things get better and that there is a treatment plan in place. But on the other hand, you really just don't know how things are also going to go.
So then, as you're working your way through this disease and through this process, you start to find out that, okay, I'm feeling better. Is that what happens? And you start picking up exercise again?
Yes. So I had to do like a chemo treatment for a few months and very regular doctor visits because there's a lot of like calibrating that happens in the beginning with your medication and tolerance and things like that. So at one of my appointments, my rheumatologist said, you can go back to working out, but he didn't tell me how, what,
Okay.
all that, no information on that whatsoever. So I kind of just felt it was up to me to play around is what I looked at it at and just sort of fall into some sort of a routine. And that's sort of what happened. It's like I tried to jog again. It was like I never ran a day in my life. Like it hurt so bad. So I was like, oh, okay. So we're not there yet. We have to build back.
Let me ask you this. How far was that first run?
Oh gosh. If you're familiar with the Cal State Long Beach campus, we have that blue pyramid. And I wanted to do a lap, which is a quarter of a mile around that blue pyramid. I think I got down one of the sides before I was just like, oh, this is not the body that I had before. It's just night and day.
And I think it's important that we set perspective here. So basically 100 meters, give or take. And you are a marathon finisher, correct? Have you done a 50K? I think you have.
Oh, if we're talking about back then, I had.
No, I mean today.
Today. Yes. I did 100K actually recently.
Did 100K recently. Oh, yeah. Right. At a milestone, correct?
Yes.
Right. And the reason why I stopped you mid conversation here is I think people need to understand that from 100 meters to 100K, and it didn't happen overnight, and it was a struggle to begin with. And most of our audience knows my story about running my first mile too. And I've run, Cocodona 257 miles without getting lost, by the way. So it's really more than 250. But I think people who are beginners, when we get into the sport, we're like, oh, I should be able to run a mile or a 5K or a marathon on day one. And it's like, no, like there's progression that happens.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to stop you because I think it's important that we understand where you were at that point and how you've progressed to where you are today, going through dealing with lupus all along the way as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good distinction. Definitely at the time, the way I can describe how my body felt was like definitely legs on fire, swelling in the legs, which I would come to later know as a symptom of a potential flare for me. So at the same time that I'm sort of like returning to activity and sport, I'm starting to also have to learn the difference between when I've pushed too much, when I can go further, like what are the different signs between endurance fatigue and if I'm potentially getting into like trouble with lupus. So that's a whole lot of like just mental games and figuring out going on at the same time.
I didn't even think about that, but that's a great point because I'm sure there are people who have undiagnosed autoimmune disease issues that they're thinking to themselves, wait a minute, right? Like it shouldn't hurt this bad and probably need to go see a doctor. I'm going to interrupt us for a second. My sister is watching on Facebook and she has said that your story is so inspiring.
Oh, thank you.
At least we know we have one member in the audience. Thanks, sis. Okay, so walk me through this. So doctor doesn't have a plan for you. He says, go ahead and exercise. You do your first 100 meters, legs are on fire. Like, how do you now set yourself up to do 200 meters or a mile or whatever's next? Like, how do you progress through that scenario and the mental part of progression in that situation?
Yes, I'm a very stubborn person. So I looked at running then as something that I could control in a time and a place where so much felt out of my control. Being a college kid, this diagnosis not only threw off like my health, but it threw off my trajectory for graduation and the times that I could take classes and things like that. So there was a lot going on in the sense of that, of like, I had to just take what was given at the time when it came to returning to school and all that stuff. So there wasn't a lot that felt like it was mine. Like something was always for the doctor or for the labs or for this and that. So running for me was just like a time that I could try and reclaim something that I had come to love. Not being able to set a timeline and things like that. I think there was some freedom in that, but I also knew in my head that like, if I could run another 5K without stopping, then I would have progressed to something and be on my way to somewhere.
And I think that's another great point, right? If I can get to the 5K, then I can get to the next distance at some point. But I need to get to this point first before I progress to the next one.
Yes.
So we've been talking about you're dealing with lupus and getting from literally 100 meters to 100K. And as you're talking, and we talked about this in the green room, I cannot get this post that you put out of my head that said, I'm just a coach with lupus standing in front of millions of people with autoimmune diseases, telling that you can do it too. And that is such a powerful statement. Do you know how powerful that is?
No. Well, now hearing it back to me, yes. Like I told you before, I didn't expect it to sort of like get that big. But in some ways, I also understand it. If you kind of look at what's been said about autoimmune conditions, a lot of the things that still have to change to make it more modern and progressive when it comes to like the topics of like exercise and movement, and not just we're kind of relying on just medication and treatment. Like it should be a both and situation, whereas so many folks maybe get the diagnosis, number one, which is a challenge in and of itself. Like I was able to kind of go through it fairly quickly, and that still took a year and a half. There are folks who are waiting on appointments for specialists just to kind of get a confirmation. So just the fact that one, you have a confirmation, and two, you're trying to figure out like, oh, if I ran before this, or if I did a sport, what does that look for me now that I have to manage with medication, now that I have to set extra time and allocate a budget for treatment and medication and things like that. So it's a fairly big deal nowadays to be able to manage these conditions and also pursue a sport safely.
Right. Yeah. Like as I read that day, and I keep replaying it in my mind, like I'm just a Puerto Rican kid from the Bronx standing in front of tens of thousands of Puerto Rican kids from the Bronx, telling them that, yes, you can run a marathon too. Like, and that is uber powerful. And the reason why I bring it up this way is because about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I interviewed Robert Rodriguez, who is a Paralympian. He's on Team USA. He's lost the bottom half of his leg. And when I interviewed him for a fireside chat, he said, yeah, I'm a Puerto Rican kid from the Bronx. And like my face lit up and I was like, you're me. I'm you. Like, representation matters in a way, right?
Yeah.
Like here is this person standing in front of me telling me that they are me and they are doing the same thing. And I think that's super important for those who are dealing with autoimmune diseases, that you are showing them we can do this too. We don't have to limit ourselves just because society says we should limit ourselves.
Yeah, you're right. The representation definitely does matter. And to be able to see yourself reflected in somebody else doing something that you didn't know was possible, that you could do yourself, I think, yeah, it tends to be a huge deal. Yeah.
Does it bring any sort of burden to you to be sort of a face of this, or is it something you proudly and happily carry?
I I'd say that I proudly and happily carry it, but that comes with boundaries for me too. I know that I can't be the coach for everyone. I know
Right.
that I can't care about every cause, even if it's autoimmune related. There's only so much bandwidth that I have.
Right.
So I really try to tap into like, what message am I trying to send out? What do I feel would be the most impactful in the moment? And I have to learn to be okay that it's going to come with disappointing people. Some folks may have other expectations of me that I'm not going to rise to, but as long as I feel like I'm still doing okay by most people, and definitely by myself, then the message carries on.
Yeah, I think the idea of I have to take care of myself first, in a
Mhm.
sense, like some people will say, well, that's so selfish. And the reality is, yeah, but if I'm taking care of everybody else and I don't take care of myself, eventually I'm not going to be able to take care of anybody because I didn't take care of myself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which my sister is on here again, and she said, you, meaning you, today, are telling the lazy people, her, that there is no excuse. She's heading to the gym tomorrow.
Well, I'm glad you're inspired.
But this is what it's all about, right? It's
Mhm.
why it's one of the reasons why I started this company and we have this podcast is because there are people out there who will say to themselves, "I can't do it for whatever reason." The myriad of excuses and reasons and rationale is out there. But if somebody can come on this show or showcase their story on our website, somebody's going to see it and say, "If they can do it, so can I." And I think that's super
Mhm.
important. And I kind of want to go into the fact that you're also a Black woman,
Mhm.
which we don't see enough of on running websites, on um, uh, product or brands, I should say, their product images. Like there's just not enough Black women out there,
Mhm.
and you have the opportunity for representation there as well to
Mhm.
show that look, Black women can run, and they can not only that but run marathons and trails and 100Ks like you just recently did. Um, when you see other Black women, because I told you the story of what it was like to see another kid from the Bronx that was Puerto Rican that lit my heart on fire in a
Mhm.
happy way. Like, is that elevating to you, and you want to keep that message going to let people know, let's go run together in the woods or on the road, wherever it is.
Yeah, I'm very adamant about posting about my own running journey, but most importantly, posting pictures of me
Yeah.
in action or just even a post run selfie, because I think just that image alone can go a long way for
Yeah.
folks who don't typically, again, like you said, see themselves in these spaces or in these situations. Um, it's definitely inspiring to me when I see other Black women just out running like on the street or in my neighborhood. And it's very cute because I do get a lot of like encouragement just from strangers when I go running early in the morning, like especially from Black men and women. They're just like, "You go, girl," or "Wish that was me," or "I need to get my run in," or something like that. So I know that just by physically doing something that I already love, it's already like changing people's perspectives in all these different ways. So I love showing that like all our bodies can move. It's really
Yes.
just about finding the right movement for that body, you know?
Do you ever think about the number of people that you have impacted without ever knowing the number of people you have impacted?
It's funny enough, I had a similar conversation with a good friend of mine, Keith. When I did the Boston to New York expedition, there was a moment I was having a really rough time in the moment because of the spaces we had to run through. If anyone sort of knows like the northeast of the US. And I was just like, wow, there are some folks or places here that if I was not doing this expedition, I wouldn't feel safe running on my own. And so I was talking to Keith and he was like, well, imagine how many cars you've probably passed by. Imagine if there was just a little girl in the backseat of one of those cars who saw you and they were like, oh, I didn't know this was a possibility. And
Yeah.
that sort of like changed the game for me.
It's
Yeah.
powerful, right?
Hmm.
And I grew up, by the way, I'm a New Yorker, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. But I think I spend a lot of time, maybe, well, who knows the measurement, but I spend a lot of time thinking about the number of people that don't respond to us on social media or our podcasts, who listened, who wrote somebody's name down, who saw a picture of somebody that has impacted them maybe 3, 5, 10 years from now, and decides that they want to run or participate in triathlon. And I would guess for you, there's a couple of different opportunities there, because you can talk to people who have autoimmune diseases, Black women, but then also as a coach, that there's like a third leg to this wheel, or a third spoke to this wheel, shall we say, that you can impact people that way too. Like that, you may not know this, but that to me is super powerful. Like that's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
What led you to want to become a coach anyway?
That is a great question. The seed was planted way before I was ready. I will say that. I
Interesting.
think maybe 2020, 2021 is when the idea popped into my head. And that's because I had worked with a coach myself, and I saw the impact that it had on me and the sort of like structure it gave me. And I was able to like get those PRs that I wanted. So I was like, oh, maybe coaching could be a really great pivot. And so it's something that I started to do on the side. I didn't really decide to go full time until I was a bit forced to go full time. Didn't have a great corporate situation, which ended up sort of playing onto having lupus. And I really had to choose like what is going to be the best option for me career wise, where I wouldn't be made to feel guilty for taking care of myself.
Right.
In the corporate world, it was a lot of like asking permission just to go to the doctors. It felt, and for someone who literally has to do labs or do a visit every 2 to 3 months, that's a lot of time. So when I was put in that situation and having to decide whether to make this part-time thing into a full-time thing, I mean, all the trust in the world went into making it a career, knowing that there were other folks that had been like me who were in my shoes too, like the person that has gotten that diagnosis and didn't know what to do or didn't know how to pivot. I was seeing just a lot of spaces within the running industry where that wasn't represented as much, in all the ways that we've talked about, from the autoimmune perspective to seeing next to zero other Black coaches or Black women coaches for sure.
Right.
Like this can't be all that there is. This can't be all that there is. So I was very ambitious in the beginning, like carrying those two messages specifically about like, hey, I've been doing this for a while and I had to figure out too, I want to help the journey. I want to make the journey a little bit easier for you, so you don't have to go through all the tests and trials I put myself through to figure things out.
You made me think of something about when you said you didn't see anybody else out there. Did it feel lonely, or were you sort of like, I'm going to blaze this trail so that others can follow me?
Definitely blaze the trail. I think it didn't feel lonely because it was so infuriating.
Okay.
To not see that representation.
Yeah.
And I just thought there has to be a better way. So yeah, maybe lonely in the sense that like when you're starting out, entrepreneurship is just this wild journey. And if you're the first person to try and do it within your friends or your family, definitely lonely in that aspect because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
But I was very like in depth with the running community and the running industry already. So that felt a little bit easier to sort of swim and assess through.
I interviewed Khadijah Diggs a number of years ago, and she is a Ironman athlete who wears a hijab when she races. And we had this conversation, and she said to me, she said, Jason, somebody has to be the first. She was the first person to get approval through Ironman to wear a hijab to race. She said, somebody has to be the first.
Yeah.
And that has stuck with me for the last 4 or 5 years. Like somebody has to be the first. And that sounds like sort of the mindset that you had, which was somebody has to be the first. And why not me?
Yeah. Yeah. But for someone to at least say it out loud, because I think what's been interesting to find is that maybe there have been some folks who were champion that autoimmune athlete sort of mindset, but they weren't like making waves about it. So I think I was sort of just like, my whole idea was to be loud about it. Just so other runners who, again, may have not heard about autoimmune conditions, were very unfamiliar, but maybe they had a family member that had gone through something similar. And now things are starting to click with them as I tell my story and my experience about, diagnosis and being sick and flare-ups and things like that. Hopefully even if their family members or their friends aren't athletes themselves, they are able to sort of like empathize a little bit more, and they're learning like ways that they can just interact with that person a little bit better too.
I would assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there has been progress on this front of seeing more athletes, more coaches with autoimmune diseases talking about it. And I'm wondering, like, how do we take those next steps to bring more people to the forefront so that run club leaders or triathlon, cycling club, swimming club leaders can understand that, there are athletes going through this process? How do race directors, are there accommodations that a race director might have to make sure that athletes who have these scenarios are taken care of? Because it can be something that, God forbid, is terminal, but
Mm-hmm.
there can be some, negative repercussions for a lighter phrase.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of work to be done in that area from an advocacy and awareness perspective. I could definitely see a time in a world where an autoimmune athlete could get a deferral for, treatment or a flare up or things like that, that's signed off by their doctor and understood by the race organization. That's something I would love to see, because I mean, we all have ambitious goals too, but sometimes things happen and we can't do that marathon
Right.
that we've been training for. I would love to see the conversation around autoimmune athletes definitely happen around run clubs and other runners, because it's my thinking that you probably already know someone with an autoimmune condition. They just haven't said it out loud.
Correct.
So the more that we can create these spaces for folks that feel safe to come forward and talk about their stories, whether that is like a run club highlight, IG highlight, all of those things, I think the easier it will become for folks to find those people and make those connections, but also to sort of grow awareness that, like, yes, I'm living with this condition, but you've already seen everything I could do prior to this new knowledge coming for you. So I'm just like you. I just have to kind of handle all these other things on the side so I can show up still.
Yeah. My wife has AS, and through her talking about it, she has helped other athletes who have AS, and she's a marathon finisher. She's 100-mile finisher. She's 100K. I believe she's a 100K finisher as well. Like, to your point, right? She's doing these things too and is able to talk about it. And that has helped other athletes who now say, oh, I see that you do this and I can too. But when she first started thinking about opening up about it, she was looking for herself.
Someone else, yeah.
Right? And she's like, there's nobody talking about this. And then that negative self-talk comes in, right? Do I want to share this? Is this something I want to talk about?
Yeah. I don't want pity or sympathy. Like, this is strength that I'm showing doing this. I don't want people to be like, to look at me different or to feel sorry for me. But I just want to say, like, this is a real thing and this is how I've had to navigate. And there are millions of other people who do the same thing every day.
100%.
Yeah.
We're bumping up on time here a little bit. We talked in the back room. You're going to be running at the Every Women's Marathon in November in Scottsdale, Arizona. How has training been going for the event? Have you been able to get through this summer here in LA as unscathed as possible?
Yes, because I'm an early morning runner. You will not find me out at noon. I'd rather run through humidity than some heat, because I can adjust a little bit better. And also, heat isn't really great for lupus. I really try to not be out there longer than I should. But training is going well. I'm at that point where I'm sort of starting to feel a little bit of that daily fatigue, and finding ways to overcome. But I'm excited for this marathon because I'm hoping that it's sort of like my first good marathon in a while. I had a lupus flare for a couple of years, and it's night and day, the difference between the training that I was trying to do then to push through versus like the training I'm able to do now that I've had better medication adjustment and I'm not constantly kind of flaring up according to my lab. So I have high hopes for this one, and I love the structure and the message of the race. So I've really put a lot of like intention and time and energy to sort of like kind of get glimpses of not the runner that I used to be pre-flare, but like the runner that I know I still can be. Yeah, it's coming through for this cycle.
in your answer, you just gave me another question, and I've been known to like, oh, we're running out of time, and then I just keep talking. Um, Perspective. So, do you find that because you have gone through this process with lupus, that the one bad run doesn't impact you as much because you're like, I've dealt with harder things than just having a one bad run kind of thing?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Something I think about when I'm in a tough spot during the race is actually all the things I had to go through to recover after the initial diagnosis. And I was like, if I can go from not being able to walk on my own to being on this marathon course, I can for sure finish this marathon race. Like we're not there anymore. We're right here, and it's great to be able to soak all of that up in the moment and use that as a way to move forward.
Here's a perfect example of why we all need to be talking about things and be more vulnerable. So, my friend Kennis is on Instagram. She is also a dancer. She has shared her dance videos with me, and just even though I stole yours, okay. She said type 1 diabetic runner here. She totally gets it. And, it's not lupus, right? But she understands that process of what you have to go through and how you have to manage all of the ups and downs, just like she has to manage all of the ups and downs too. And I talked with Alex Baker, who runs the Catch Up to Cancer fundraising website, because his wife died from cancer. And the conversation we had was, I think we are afraid to be vulnerable because of who we might lose. But what we need to focus on is who we're going to gain.
Yeah.
Right. So you probably don't know Kennis from a hole in the wall. And now she's relating to you because of you opening up and being vulnerable about it.
Yeah.
Right. As opposed to the person who dismisses you and is like, yeah, you'll be fine. Right.
Yeah.
Like we don't want that dead weight around here anyway.
Yeah.
Mireille, you have been so fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me. We're going to jump into the rapid fire food questions, but your website's on the screen, coachedbymireille.com. Where else can people find you? How can, who are you looking to work with? All of that good stuff.
Yes, you can also find me on Instagram at Hey Coach Mireille. That is the running side of thing. I'm also, in addition to Start Lying Lab, I'm also doing some more work on like the autoimmune health side for anyone who's heard of the AIP protocol and wants like that nutritional approach to managing their conditions. You can find me at the Running AIP Coach on Instagram as well. And I'm in the very baby steps of maybe creating a YouTube so I can do some more long form informational videos. And that's going to be at Hey Coach Mireille on YouTube as well.
There will be some dancing on the end of those videos too.
You got to keep it fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I sent you this message. I kid you not, when we were talking about Missy Elliott from yesterday, literally at Pepperdine University, 1-2 Step came on while I was in the cafeteria. I was like, meant to be.
Yes.
All right, we're going to jump into some rapid fire food questions here, but this one's not food related, but I have been asking this one a lot lately. When you get ready to go out for a run, do you go sock, sock, shoe, shoe, or do you go sock, shoe, sock, shoe?
Sock, sock, shoe, shoe. Who does it the other way?
Is it always either left, right, or right, left? Like
absolutely, always left first. Yes.
Runners are so weird, man.
Who puts their shoe on when they're? I just thinking about that, I'm just like, I have never thought of that as an option.
I'm that guy. So I put my left sock on first, and then with my leg up. So I do it standing. So then I put my shoe on so I can work balance. And then I put my foot down. I have to do the right side. So I'm like trying to kill two birds with one stone. But just, like the idiosyncrasies that we have as runners, it's so weird. I often wonder, like Lori, my wife, and I, we often talk about like, if you're in the quilting club or if you're in the chess club, like, do you guys get competitive with each other? Do you ask these ridiculous questions? Like, do you take your rook out of your chess set first? Like,
yeah.
But runners, like we have these mind games for ourselves to move forward.
Got to be just right?
So. We are just so. That's literally who we are.
Yeah.
All right. Pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
I'll allow it. Is it my first option? No. If it's there, I'm not going to say no to pizza, if that's the question.
Well, I'm not going to say no to pizza, but I'm going to the counter and ordering another one. I'm not
Yes.
eating that.
Yeah, not my first choice.
Not for a moment. It's not my last choice either, by the way. I can't help it. I'm a New Yorker through and through. Like it's just, I'm not doing that.
Yes.
I had Truth Bachman on our show a few weeks ago, and I asked that question of them, and they said, absolutely not. And it's because they love like a more acidic tomato sauce on their pizza. And I said, I totally agree with you. And nobody's ever said I need more acid with my acid. Like,
Yeah.
you don't do that.
That's true. That's funny.
Oreos. We are huge fans of Oreos around here. Are you old school Oreo, double stuff, mega stuff, thins, or cakesters?
Original.
Yes.
Old school. Perfect.
And so is that are you also original in terms of flavor, or is there another flavor of Oreo that you're like, yeah, this one's really damn good?
No, also in terms of flavor. I don't tend to buy the fun, whatever things that come out during the holidays now. Just like classic Oreo.
Pro tip, I buy them. But here's the thing. So most of them will get one thumb up, most of them. But if you ever find yourself in the Oreo aisle and the blueberry pie or the apple pie a la mode are there, get it. The blueberry pie, get double thumbs up.
Yeah.
It was so good. Like the Selena Gomez one is okay. It's a single thumb up. Birthday cake, like all these other ones are single thumbs up.
Yeah.
But the blueberry pie was a home run. If you could design your own Oreo, though, that wasn't just an OG, what flavor would you go with?
Churro.
Ooh.
I think a nice churro cream would be really good.
Ooh. Now, are you putting it on the chocolate wafer or the blonde wafer?
Oh, it makes more sense with the blonde wafer. I'd be curious what it tastes like on the chocolate. Because the chocolate could taste like churro with syrup. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
My answer has been a pistachio cannoli flavor. Like, oh, I'd be in heaven. I would absolutely get like a dozen of those. Like, back up the truck.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
So Chrissy Murphy, Dylan Roche, and my wife are thumbs up on black licorice. Where are you on black licorice? Is it thumbs up? No.
No. No.
I love it. What about red licorice? Are you okay with
red licorice? Yes, and specifically red vines.
Okay, yes. That was my next
question. We're not talking about this Twizzler thing. I think one year when I was very, very young, we got licorice, and I guess it was black licorice, and I thought it was I thought it was like chocolate or some other flavor.
Oh no.
Bit into it. I'm just like, this is not.
Oh no.
Why are they selling this thing? So since then, just a no to black licorice.
I'm with you. Like, I'm out on black licorice too. Like, I have put that in the corner with the pineapple pizza. Like, I'm not here for it. What's your take on Peeps? Is Peeps a real candy, or are they best being left in the cupboard until 2087 when they become a great doorstop?
Gosh, Peeps are a little much.
Yes.
It's like on one hand, I'm glad they're only around for a season. Because I think if we had to see more of them around all the other holidays, I'd be like, who's eating this?
Yeah.
And how do you have all your teeth still?
Exactly. We're going to stay in the marshmallow scene for a moment. Are you the person when you roast your marshmallow that you want it like toasty, or are you give me the charcoal briquette?
I usually just stick it in the fire.
Yeah, charcoal briquette, 100%. Yeah. High five.
Yes.
Here's what I also learned, and I have not done this yet, but Jennifer Comfort told me that put it in the fire, charcoal briquette it, peel off that layer, obviously eat it, and then put it back in the fire again, so that it caramelizes a second time.
Nice.
And now you've got a double whammy on your hands.
Nice. That's a good trick.
Right? My eyes lit up. I was like, yes, more of that.
I love a good marshmallow.
Yes. Candy. So speaking of, So are you a hot chocolate person and you put the marshmallows in there?
Yeah, if they're available, for sure.
Yeah, right. Like we were at Tavern on the Green 2 Decembers ago, and it was the greatest hot chocolate I've ever had. Like the marshmallows were slightly melting into the cup, and they put
Mm,
the peppermint stick in there too.
yeah.
Thank you. Take my money. Candy corn. Is candy corn a real candy, or is it just earwax covered in sugar?
I've never heard it called earwax before. When I was younger, I loved candy corn.
But then you got smart.
But then, similar to Peeps, also became a lot. Same question. How do you have all your teeth?
The idea like around Thanksgiving, they're like, oh, here's a pumpkin version. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
still the same thing.
Yeah. Like, you can change the color order all you want. It's candy corn.
Which is also the Reese's, right?
Yeah.
People go nuts over the jack-o'-lantern Halloween Reese's. I'm like, it's the same thing as the other one that you just had. It's just in a different shape now.
Exactly.
The Christmas tree, same thing. The rabbit,
Mhm.
same thing.
Yeah.
The Valentine's Day V heart looking thing, same thing.
Mhm.
Eat them all year round, people. Don't wait
Yeah.
for the holiday.
Good marketing on their part, though.
Yeah, 100%. Is red velvet cake a real flavor, or is it just chocolate cake dressed up to go to the prom?
Oh. It's a real flavor. I'm gonna give it to red velvet. I'm gonna give it to
But only from a baker.
Oh,
Like-
yeah. Don't make it yourself.
Or go to Kroger or
Yeah.
Ralph's or Albertsons, right? You go to the grocery store and it's just chocolate sheet cake with red food dye that they're charging you an extra $4 on, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you go to a bakery, yes, they're going to use the alkalized cocoa and it's going to make it a little bit different taste. Do you have a favorite cake flavor since we're in the cake family?
Mm. When I was younger, our mom would get us ice cream cakes for our birthday. So I love a good Oreo ice cream
Yes.
cake. Flavor, gosh, I love cake.
Me too.
Does that just count as
Yeah.
an answer?
Carrot cake is my jam. Like I'm
Yeah.
a huge carrot cake fan.
Mm.
Did you grow up here on the West Coast?
Yeah. I came here in 96.
So was Carvel a thing out here on the West Coast? Carvel
Yeah,
ice
I
cream?
think that's the brand that we would get the ice cream cake.
Okay, yes,
from.
because
Yep.
Carvel is a New York-based company, and
Mhm.
they used to have this thing there, and I think I read recently that they're retiring, and it's breaking my heart. They have this thing called
Mm.
Fudgy the Whale, which is one of the greatest ice cream cakes you could ever have, and Cookie Puss was the other one. Like, oh, so good. Every New Yorker who's my age, which is 51, was like just nodding their head right now.
Yeah,
like,
like-
yes.
More of this.
Exactly. You're like, where do we get that? So speaking of ice cream, do you have a favorite ice cream flavor?
This is the great thing about a callback to the beginning of our conversations when we can sample flavors. There was a time where you couldn't get me to order anything except Oreo
Okay.
or like cookies and cream. But now that I get to sample everywhere I go, I've expanded my palette. Ice cream. I love a good like salted situation with vanilla or something like that. I love the honey lavender from Salt and Straw, refreshing.
Interesting.
Anything like cookie butter-ish too
Yeah.
tends to be sort of my jam. Once in a while, we'll try a seasonal, like something fun, but I tend to sort of go with like something creamy and heavy and all that good stuff.
All the yummies.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite candy?
Good question. I have a sweet tooth for sure. So sometimes nailing a favorite is hard.
I'm with you. Clearly,
Ooh.
I'm with you.
I think when I'm craving a bit of candy and say I'm in like the checkout line at the grocery store If it's chocolate, I tend to reach for the cookies and cream Hershey's.
Oh yes, good
If
call.
it's something sweet, chewy, a Nerds cluster,
Yeah.
or even like the watermelon or like Sour Patch Kids or Mike
Yep.
and Ike's. All
Yeah.
of those are like sort of like go-tos for like the gummy category.
But not Mike and Ike, the black and white one, because there's the
Absolutely not.
black.
No. Fruit flavors only. No.
Have you had the lemon blueberry Swedish fish?
No.
Yeah, run to the grocery store. Don't walk.
I didn't even
So
know that
good.
existed.
So good. One of the
Wow.
best. Last one for you. A tray of brownies has come out of the oven. It's cooled down enough that you can cut into it without making a mess. Are you going to the corner piece, the edge piece, or the center piece that's more ooey gooey?
Corner.
Yes.
The more crispiness I can get, the better.
Yeah, you need a handle. I need to hold on to it.
I like a good crunch at the end of a nice soft brownie.
Yeah. The Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly movie popped in my head just now. Like, do we just become best friends?
Yeah.
You hit it out of the park. No black licorice, red
Yeah.
vines, no pineapple on pizza, candy corn, no peeps, no, and the corner edge of the brownie tray. Like, yeah,
Yes.
all of it. Yes. And you
Those are
like
all the right answers.
and you like your marshmallows charred to like briquettes. I mean,
Yes.
come on. Mireille, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your time. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep dancing on the videos. Keep advocating for autoimmune disease athletes. Keep doing it. It is making an impact. And I know that there are others out there that are watching you and saying, if she can do it, I can too.
Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
Awesome. For those of you who have stuck around for an hour now, thank you so much. I am a big believer that time is the greatest gift that we can give to one another, and you have given me the gift of your time. Thank you so much. Come back next week for the next episode.